Well, today I'm joined by Nick Tulloch, Chairman at ECR Minerals, following the news on Thursday that the company has entered non-binding heads of terms for a proposed joint venture on its Creswick Gold Project in Australia. Nick, always good to catch up. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm well, thanks, and good to speak to you again. Second time this week.
Yeah, definitely. So first of all, congratulations. This is a big moment for ECR. Can you start by giving us a bit of background around how this week's deal and announcement came to be?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's no secret to any shareholder investor who follows our story that our primary focus over the last few months has developed in Queensland. We've spoken a lot about Blue Mountain and the ability to bring that license area into production. We've also spoken a lot about Lolworth, where we're actually currently conducting our first drilling campaign up there, and this is a vast area to explore. But the company's heritage sits down in Victoria, and in particular in the Creswick region, which itself is in the heart of Victorian goldfields. And I'm always really careful to say that although Queensland is our area of focus, that doesn't mean for a minute we don't think the Victorian assets are good. I mean, not at all. And so what we've got with this JV that we've announced with Bold Gold is the ability to continue to ride the upside in Creswick, and we're very, very positive about Creswick, but without having to commit our shareholder funds to advance that project. The way the JV is structured is that Bold Gold will cover all of the cost, all of the exploration cost, all of the mandatory costs on the license, and the more they spend, the bigger percentage they will earn into Creswick. But in the meantime, we get to focus our financial resources on the areas where we think we have near-term revenue prospects, but we're not relinquishing a big part of the company's heritage, and more importantly, what could be a very big upside for ECR.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll return to the rest of the company in a moment, but just before we do, I just wanted to ask, what do you think it is about Creswick's potential in particular that attracted Bold Gold?
Well, the guys at Bold Gold are based in Victoria. They're geologists, and so straight away from those two statements, you see their knowledge is going to be far better than my own. But Creswick sits between two of the probably more famous Victorian gold mining towns of Ballarat and Bendigo. Yeah, and it's a vast area. I mean, I often think that Europeans don't sometimes appreciate how big some of these overseas areas can be. I mean, Australia is an enormous country. I mean, Creswick itself takes the best part of an hour to drive from one end to the other. I mean, it's three licenses, sitting between those two major locations. It's got a long history. I mean, not just on our tenements, but also in the surrounding area of producing very significant quantities of gold, over many, many decades. Bold Gold are not the first people who came to us with an idea. We've had a number of approaches for Creswick. We've had approaches, by the way, for other parts of our Victorian tenements as well. But I think people sort of probably know me. They know the board. We're very conservative. We're very cautious. We're going to be careful as to who we decide to partner up with. Yeah. And what's good about Bold Gold is their local knowledge and their expertise. And yes, we'll create a data room of diligence for them and show them what we've done ourselves in the past to Creswick. But their own knowledge of the area is terrific, and I think we're going to be in good hands, because a JV is a partnership. A JV is making sure that it's rather like a marriage. You want to make sure that your partner is like-minded to you, and that's exactly how we feel about Bold Gold. I think it's going to be a good and strong partnership with their local knowledge, our background, and just that joint commitment to make this project the success that we think it can be.
Definitely, and it's encouraging that with that local knowledge, they were. They obviously know the area, and Creswick is one of the projects they've chosen to pursue.
Well, exactly, and as I say, that they're not the first people to knock on our door, but they had a very credible proposal, and it's a good proposal from ECR's point of view. I'm sort of going back on myself, but it achieves the two objectives of we can focus our shareholder funds on the near-term revenue opportunities in Queensland, but we still retain an interest in a project that has been in the past extremely important to ECR, and that's a terrific result for us.
Definitely. So the deal is subject to the completion of due diligence by Bold, which will begin shortly. And if it does go ahead, Bold will commit to an initial 250,000 Aussie dollars of exploration. I don't know how much you can say on this, but do you have any insight into what the company's likely to focus on once it gets on the ground there, if it goes ahead?
Well, We've got some ideas. I mean, obviously, we drilled in Creswick as recently as 18 months ago, and our results in that drilling campaign are on the RNS systems. People can see the opportunity that we established, or we believe we've established. I think it'd be unfair of me to try and predict exactly what Bold Gold want to do, but the JV is going to be structured as a 4-man or 4-person JV committee, 2 from them, 2 from us. So although it's their checkbook, it's our land. I mean, this is our asset, but they will be spending the money. So there will be a collaboration and an agreement between us as to what is focused on first, and how that evolves. As I say, Creswick's an enormous area. You could very easily spend all of the JV money on an extreme, almost as a pinhead on the map in terms of how big that area is. So there's a lot to go for, and I think that's the benefit for them, and bluntly, it's the benefit for us as well. Victoria is characterised by narrow veins, by nuggety gold, but it's having a bit of a renaissance, and there's a few companies in the region. I mean, Falcon, in particular, an ASX listed company, have had some very good results, and that's just bringing Victoria back into focus. And again, going back to what I said earlier, I'm always very cautious about saying, yes, we're focused on Queensland, but that's only because we think Queensland has got better near-term opportunities for us. It doesn't mean we don't like what we've got in Victoria, and so to partner with Bold Gold is a win-win scenario for all of us.
Yeah, definitely. So as well, alongside that upside exposure that you'll retain, ECR through that oversight committee will also, continue to have a say and help to steer where work heads over the longer term.
Exactly, and that's really the only way a joint venture can work. I mean, the clue is that it's joint. We need to be, we need to have each other's back. We need to be in agreement, and the way that we've structured that proposal. And by the way, that proposal came from Bold Gold. I mean, we probably would have made the same suggestion, but it was their opening idea to say, let's have a 4-person committee, and let's do this jointly. And that in itself, I think, is just a good insight into their approach as to how they want to operate the JV, which, thankfully and importantly mirrors our approach, which is it's going to be a collaborative effort.
Absolutely. And finally, you noted in the RNS that the JV frees up more of ECR's time and resources to focus on other assets, perhaps like Blue Mountain and Lolworth. And you did touch on this, that there has been interest in other assets. Are you fundamentally, as a company, open to, perhaps entering similar JV style agreements on some of your other projects in Australia, should the right opportunity arise?
Yeah, we absolutely are. As I say, we've not made any secret of this. We've had approaches. We've had approaches at Blue Mountain where production partners, people who help us bring that project into production, are keen to work with us. We've had approaches in Victoria. We were advertising, to an extent, some of our Victorian projects through the tax loss process, and that's a process that is ongoing. And that's been actually quite helpful in just sort of highlighting some of the opportunities we've had. And over the last couple of years, we've done quite a lot of work in Victoria. I mean, we've drilled in Creswick, Bayliston, and in Tambo. So we've got some very recent and, I would say, interesting results for people to look at. So I wouldn't rule it out at all. And I think it's important from the board's point of view. We're a small company. We know our own limitations, but we also know where the near-term opportunity is. And we spent a lot of, I suppose, the previous 12 months systematically going through our projects and determining where the opportunities were. That has yielded an answer. The answer is we want to focus on Queensland. As I say, that's where we think we have the nearest term success. But if we can continue to advance other projects through JVs, through partnerships, we would look sensibly at any proposal that comes to us. But we're not going to accept everything. And as I say, Bold Gold are not the first people to come to Creswick, but they're like-minded. It's a professional and sensible approach. And if we can mirror that elsewhere, then we'd look favourably on it. And as I say, that is something that is, I think, probably constantly in the forefront of our mind, particularly as we advance what we've got in Blue Mountain. Great.
Well, congratulations again on the announcement, Nick, and thank you again for your time today.
Terrific. Good to speak to you.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programmes at stopboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.